We live in Brooklyn, baby. We live in Brooklyn, baby.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Skilla Sauce 10. It's 8 over there. Well, I guess the A's and the S and F's and E's. And this is Insanity Check. Remember, you can check us out on YouTube, our YouTube channel, which is Insanity Check Radio, Facebook, which is Insanity Check, and Twitter at Insanity Check 12.
Indeed. So, again, it is January 30th, which means in a handful of days it will be the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Both Skillet and I are gleefully joyful.
Yeah, that the Patriots, the demonic Patriots, were eliminated. I mean, in which, wiped the stench of my Denver Broncos completely collapsing and imploding in one of the most disgraceful, monumental. That defeat and the ending of that game is going to live on in the annals of NFL history. That's one of the most infamous plays. Embarrassing plays, disgraceful plays, and I dare say I don't think that guy
worse than the butt fumble.
No, nothing's worse than the butt. No, actually, no. Yes, it's worse than the butt fumble in the sense that it cost us the game. You guys were already getting destroyed by the time the butt fumble just basically, put the end to the fucking game. Literally, the rear end to the game. It was just the end of the game. You guys were already getting blown out. We had the game. All that idiot had to do was play like a high school defensive back, and we would have went on to the championship game. So, but be that as it may, my hatred for the Patriots when the Ravens were finally able to defeat the Patriots, it sort of made me feel a little bit better. If it wasn't going to be the Broncos, let it be anybody but the Patriots. So I felt good for that, even though I'm not rooting for the Ravens in the Super Bowl, though. But what is this?
And why is that?
Why don't I like the Ravens? Why am I rooting for the Ravens?
Why are you not rooting for the Ravens?
Well, I'm not rooting for the Ravens because I'm a Randy Moss fan, and we were having a discussion when we were trying to set up the equipment. I am of the belief that Randy Moss is the best wide receiver I have ever seen, as far as in his ability to basically do whatever he wants whenever he wants to, and that's probably why he'll never be the number one in people's eyes, because he felt sometimes I'm going to play today and sometimes, I'm not going to play today because the team stinks. And that's a very much unprofessional attitude to have. But as far as in just ability to say, I'm just going to score, just put the ball anywhere in the vicinity as long as it's up here, because, throwing down low doesn't make any sense. The dude was unstoppable. I don't think you remember at a certain point when he was in Minnesota, they had to stop him from catching the ball in showy ways, because they would throw, when he was with Culpepper, he would catch the ball in his bicep. He would make one-handed catches just to entertain himself, because the fact that he was going to get the touchdown was a foregone conclusion. So just so his mind wouldn't become bored, as we were saying about running, he would catch the ball. Let me catch it this way. Literally, let me catch it in my bicep, not with my hand. Let me just try and cradle it with touchdowns on a professional level. So when you think of somebody that had the skills to be able to toy with other defensive backs, professional, good defensive backs, great defensive backs, even though I never got a chance to see Deion go up against him. Deion hurt his toe that day when Deion was with Dallas. I was praying to see that. But when I saw that kind of stuff, I was like, yo, this dude is the best.
What about him going up against Revis?
Well, you know what? No, but you got to credit that with Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a slick bastard. What he did was, the second they went up to that line, Tom Brady snapped the ball before Revis got his feet set, and then Moss was out and put his hand up, because you remember that game, right? Revis had no chance, and then he actually came up lame. He hurt his hamstring. He re-aggravated his hamstring. That was just a good read by Tom Brady. Because Revis. Well, no,
Revis had him. Revis had him. I forgot how many times they played, but I remember Revis. That was like the one or two times that Moss got. Because
Revis did well against him, especially when he was on like the Raiders and the Titans. Because I know Revis was locking down. Who else he locked down? He was locking down Andre Johnson. I know he was handling Andre Johnson.
Locked down everybody. The only guy that consistently gave Revis trouble, and by trouble I mean that he didn't get completely shut out, was Stevie Johnson on the Buffalo Bills.
Oh yeah, that's right. For some strange reason, yeah. But no, I mean, so that's why, in a nutshell, I want the 49ers to win because I want Randy Moss to get his ring. I didn't want him to get his ring when he was with the Patriots. I want him to get it now.
And fortunately, Randy feels the same way that Skillet does, that he's the best wide receiver in the game. He said this this week, which of course caused a shitload of
controversy,
And quite frankly, this is one of the better responses I've heard by anybody. Because Jerry Rice, although he didn't say, "Are you fucking insane?" His tone certainly indicated that he thought Randy Moss was fucking insane for saying that. And he was like, I got, he said, I made my legacy with my Super Bowl rings, as he pointed to one of his rings, Super Bowl rings. But
no, three. He has 3 rings.
Oh, that's right. He wasn't on there with the first one.
Two. Yeah, he wasn't there for the first. He wasn't there for Montana's first 2. He was there for Montana's last 2, and then Steve Young's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, personally, I have to give it to Rice, Jerry Rice, because again, that the one thing that you just said, as we said before, you can't just take plays off I'm just going, like the Titans. He completely did nothing, and I don't know if that was him, if it was the Titans. I know he was a decoy and all the rest of that stuff, but
I keep bringing up.
And then you fucking cry and bitch and moan and whine and then leave for a year like a child?
No, that's not why he said he left. That's not why he said he left. He said it was family issues. He was having bad family problems. So he felt he didn't want it to be like an Allen Iverson situation where they throw his... Because he felt if he had not been able to perform for whatever reason and he got thrown off of another team, that would have been the end of it. So he was like, until I get my family situation in order, he just dropped out. Because that's what cost Allen Iverson his last chance. He was going through family issues when they finally let him come back to the Sixers, and they were like, look, be that as it may, it might be a legitimate reason, but like the last 3-4 teams he was on, it was always something. So I think it was kind of intelligent for him to do that. But listen.
Unless it was a damage control story.
Maybe, but I mean, look. Larry Fitzgerald is top 3 in the league, in my opinion. Larry Fitzgerald does not complain. Larry Fitzgerald runs every play as if it's his last play, but who cares? He's at the bottom of the league and everything. So there's going to be people that still look at him and go, well, because of these past 2.5, 3 years, you're nowhere in the picture as far as an elite receiver because of your numbers. So when you talk about the years that Randy took off, whether he ran those routes with conviction or half-assed, he wasn't going to get the ball in the proper place anyway. He wasn't going to catch the fucking ball.
But like I was saying about Tony Gonzalez, who was throwing to Gonzalez? He wasn't getting thrown to by no fucking Pro Bowlers.
Well, no, I mean, no, hold on. He had, I think he was around when Montana was there towards the end. He also had, what's his face? Matt Castle throw to him. He had Matt Castle throwing to him.
Where's Matt Castle now?
Well, Matt Castle's a bum now, but I mean, he had Matt Castle throw to him.
Didn't he play for San Diego as well?
Who?
Tony Gonzalez?
No.
He suffered with those bums. I think
he went from the Chiefs to
the Falcons.
Yeah.
So he suffered with the Falcons from Matt.
That's what I'm saying. And
I'm thinking of Gates.
the Chiefs.
I'm thinking of Gates.
Yeah, Gates was San Diego. So I'm just like, that's a guy who had to toil around now. And obviously he doesn't have the yards that Moss has because he's a tight end, but he's second all time in catches.
My thing is just when I think, like, put it this way: if someone, let's say Revis somehow was able to amass records or numbers that were as good, if not better, than Deion Sanders, because let's say Revis played for a much longer time, I'm always going to give the nod to Deion Sanders because they had to change the whole back shoulder comeback throw was created to stop Deion Sanders from doing what he can do. He changed the way the game was played. Randy Moss, whereas he didn't totally cause a complete disruption, they had to come up with new schemes to handle somebody like that. They never had to come up with a new scheme to specifically stop Rice. It was to stop the West Coast offense.
And that's
here's the thing. You don't think they tried but couldn't?
No. See, because with Jerry Rice, it was they had to stop. They had to come up with a new scheme to stop the West Coast offense as a whole.
What about the time he spent not in the West Coast offense?
No, because Rich Gannon, they was running when he went to the only time he wasn't in the West Coast offense is when he went to Seattle, and that was and they really did a disservice to themselves because in that particular game in the playoffs, Jerry Rice's last game, they wouldn't put him in the game. And the fucking game ended with the Seattle Seahawks dropping the ball in the end zone. And Jerry Rice is like, yo, I could have caught that. And then Jerry Rice tried to go to Denver, and he didn't make the cut and so on and so forth. But no, he ran a West Coast style offense when he was with Gannon in San Diego. So, excuse me, was it Oakland at the time or Los Angeles? Oakland, yeah. So he's always flourished in that system. And that system was like, when it first came out, it's like, for instance, now, look at Crabtree's numbers and these guys' numbers, and I guarantee you next year they're going to have better numbers because of this pistol offense. It's the whole offense that the league has to. With Randy Moss, it was like, yo, just stop this one man. We can't figure out double team, single coverage. We can't stop this one man. And to me, that's why I have to give him the nod, even though, you know, common sense is like, yo, Jerry Rice has every record there is to have. But then Emmitt Smith has the world, you know, he has the record for the most yards, and I don't think anybody in their right mind would pick him over Emmitt Smith.
No, not
Actually,
now, anyway.
Skip Bayless actually said something interesting. He said if it was just for one game, and I thought this was crazy until I thought about it, and I can't really argue with it too much. He was like, yo, he said Michael Irvin. And I was like, well, why would he say it? He was like, yo, Michael Irvin basically made Troy Aikman. And I've always thought Troy Aikman was a mediocre quarterback. But he was like, yo, when it came to big game catches, and also back then the rules you could push off,
Yeah.
and this dude was a master at pushing off. He always came up big in the biggest game. So he was like, he would actually take, his order was crazy. His order was Michael Irvin first, Moss, then Rice. I thought was, you know, and so, you know, it's you can't not take away from Jerry Rice's dedication to running routes, every route crisp, every route the same. The dude is more of a professional player than Randy Moss by far. You know, by far. But if I had to say, yo, I need to start a team, and I got a motivated Randy Moss who is saying he's going to play all 16 games, because even if he doesn't catch the ball, he opens it up for everybody else. Jerry Rice did not do that. He did not take away so much stuff to where, you know, everybody else was able to flourish because of it. You know, so that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, pure talent, I'd give it to Moss.
And then that speed. I mean, you're talking about, I think he was running a 4.2 when he first came into the league. You're talking about 6'4", and a half, basically, with an insane vertical because he used to play basketball, running at that kind of speed, and he never looked like he was running fast, sort of like Usain Bolt, you know, because the legs are so damn long, you can't judge the speed, and before you know it, the dude is behind you. And then, in my estimation, some of the best hands ever. I mean, the dude, if the ball hit him in his hands, it was caught. And that was another thing. That's why, like, you can't really put T.O. up there because T.O. had bricklayer hands.
That's going a bit far.
I mean, look, he dropped a lot of balls.
And he still is what?
I know he's still great, but I mean, I can still think of dropped balls. Whereas Randy, I can't. Whenever Randy Moss dropped anything that actually hit him in his hands, I'm usually shocked. I'm usually like stunned. So, you know, but I mean, but the bit that has made. So you have the 49ers winning. I think the 49ers.
Everyone has the 49ers.
But what do you think about this other story?
Well, we'll have to get back to that in a second. We'll catch up with that on the flip side. Break.
Yeah, because
We're trying to make it